this is our Feed Orchard Grants program, and it's sponsored by USDA, the US Forest Service, and Kaulunani Urban Community Forestry Program. And so this is a grant that the federal government passed down to a state entity that passed down to a community program, and that we had applied for so that we could help support some of our local farmers. So real quickly, I'm just gonna go over a little bit about us for anybody. I saw some new folks that haven't worked with us before, give you a little background about what we do, about the Feed Grants program that we have. This is our second grant release in the Feed Grants program. We're going to talk about eligibility, the application process, and then have a quick Q&A. So just real quickly about us, we've been around since 2006 as a nonprofit organization focused on increasing local food production and access for a resilient Kauaʻi. This picture right here is our food hub that's being built for the Moloa'a farmers and to expand some of our food hub programs. So what you'll see over there is processing zone, packing, cold storage, and a technical assistance office upstairs. So for the past 16 years, 17 years or so, we've been focused on a variety of different programs that involve farmer support and farm to school, ag internships, lots of food access and community feeding programs. And for the last few years, we've really been focusing in on our food hub programs, which help connect farmers to those with food access challenges. So some of the things that we've done in the last several years, I actually just redid this math. In the last 7 years, we've distributed over $800,000 in grants throughout our community since about 2018, the flood. And really everything that we're trying to do here is understand what challenges farmers are going through, and then trying to help resolve them. So we do a lot of research here and then try to respond in different ways, provide information that help farmers. We have a newsletter. A lot of our vendors will get all kinds of buyer demand information about where the gaps in the market are. We've worked with farming groups to help fiscally sponsor grants and things like that. So in general, we've kind of provided a variety of different business technical assistance kind of programs and projects for farmers that this is one of. So the feed program, it's Farmers Enhancing Equitable Distribution. And it's a grant program that really focuses on feeding those who feed us. So we're trying to reward and incentivize the production of local food to feed our low-income residents. So there's a lot of markets for local food, right? There's hotels and commercial enterprises and many farmers markets and the visitor industry. So there's lots of people you can feed. And what we're trying to do is make sure that our local residents who might not have as consistent access to fresh local produce are kind of supported in increasing that access. And so what we've been able to do the last few years is really explore the different gaps in our food system. So we have a lot of business intelligence that is given through our food hub data. And so we can identify where gaps in the market are that need to be filled. And then we try to go get resources to help fill them. We did this recently with our poultry egg education project, or PEEP, which now has about 23 egg producers that produce eggs for our food hub and all kinds of resources around the island. And then this first feed grant program that we had started in January, and it was supported through the County of Kauaʻi. And that was a little bit more generic. It was focused on fruit and vegetable crops, and $50,000 was distributed amongst 13 farmers who chose 1 to 5 specialty crops that they were going to increase the production of into these food access channels. So really focusing on the next level of what our needs are. Right now we're having a really major shortage of fruit, and there's a lot of reasons for it. The parakeets are probably one of the number one, but there's also been a return of the visitor industry and those cash-based tourist markets that are, great for some farmers that make it really easy to sell through those markets. So what we're trying to do is identify ways that we can help support more farmers to produce for these programs that help support our keiki, our kapuna, our debucks programs. and really focus on orchards, increasing orchard health through knowledge and education, and also expanding orchards and helping to protect the ones that folks have. And, I can't underestimate how important this is. We started our Kauaʻi for Keiki summer meal box program today. And, we have Dole bananas in our boxes because we could not even obtain enough bananas to fill 400 boxes a week for this summer. So, fruit is a very, very important thing that we do not see enough of in the market and have access to right now. So that's where this comes from. So our grant award program, we're going to make 18 awards. This is a fairly small grant. So each farm would be an award. So 2 people from the same farm can't also both apply. It's per farm. Each award will be $1,500 in mature food trees of your choice to install on your farm. And when we say mature, we want you to buy the largest trees available, not the very tiny saplings that are going to take, 5 to 10 years to produce. We're looking for you to buy larger trees, the most mature ones that you can gain access to. And they also have to have a low weed risk assessment score. And that is a part of not bringing in invasives into our environment. You've seen that this is sponsored by the Forest Service and people doing urban and community forestry. So it's really important to them that, we're not bringing in those trees. We have a nice spreadsheet we will share with folks that shares what the WRA scores that are on record for most common tropical fruit trees. For the most part, you won't see a lot of fruit trees on there. Obviously, there's no strawberry mango going to happen. There's, I think, a little bit of challenge with some of the Suriname cherries, but for the most part, these food trees are not very invasive. So just a little background on that. There's also going to be $500 for orchard expansion supplies. So obviously, if you're going to plant more trees, you probably need compost or mulch or irrigation expansions. Maybe you have all that stuff on site already and you want to get tools, different pest prevention, maybe some bird netting, fruit fly traps, kind of addressing how to keep the orchards that you do have a little bit more healthy. And then also each grantee will receive 2 seats for farm owners or staff for a 2-day orchard management workshop with Ken Love of Hawaii Tropical Fruit Growers in August. And I say owners and staff underlined because I understand a lot of people use temporary kind of imported labor. And really the goal of this project and this grant program is to increase knowledge of our local food production industry. So we're looking to invest that knowledge in people that are going to stay here and not just folks who might be here for a few months at a time or something. So you don't have to also take 2 seats. If it's only one of you on the farm that wants to attend that workshop, that's fine. But that is a part of the grant program, is also attending that workshop. So that's required if you are a grantee. So a little bit about our preferred eligibility, and I'll say a couple things. Preferred is a big word. You can understand a lot of people might not meet all of these requirements, and we'll do our best in scoring to just make sure it's a fair and equitable process. But ideally, we want Kauai-based farmers with current food production or sales happening. So that kind of, if you're just started, you've never sold or grown anything, this isn't necessarily a very beginner's farmer's grant. Ideally, we're looking for folks who already have engagement with food access related sales channels. So that could be any of our programs or Keiki, Kapuna, Farm to School, Debucks, any of those. Other Debucks sites, which are Halepuna in Waimea, has a farmer's market that takes Debucks, and there's also Times and Big Save grocery stores take Debucks. Also food banks and food pantries. If you have a relationship and you're selling into them, that's another qualifier. And we get a lot of questions about this. Does this program, does this project count? What if I do this with my food? You can put it in your application. There is a question in there for other things that you want us to know about your farm or your project, but these are the primary goals of this program, is to get food into these programs specifically. These are kind of the largest, most impactful programs that help reach people who are really food insecure. So aside from that, we also want to see that you have some kind of site control and approval of improvement. So, if you have a year-to-year lease, and the government doesn't necessarily want to give you funding to invest in something that's a 5 or 10-year crop, right? So looking for land ownership documentation, a signed lease with at least 5 years remaining, again, preferred eligibility. Previous grantees. So if you received a previous grant from us from other years, or if you even are a current grantee in the original feed program, you can be eligible, but you must be compliant with that current grant. So if that means you're spending your funds, your receipts are in your grant folder, you're on track to deliver those targeted crops by August, which was the closeout date for that grant. So you really want to look at where you are in that grant. And that's just because we really want to spread out funds to as many folks as we can. And if you're not already ahead of your other grant, then maybe it's time for somebody else to get a chance at some funding. We hope this will just be the beginning. So again, I hope everybody applies, because what also happens with these situations is the next time we apply for funding to do this again, we can say, hey, we had 50 grant applicants, and we could only give out 18 awards. And that shows that there is a demand for programs like this, and hopefully allow us to bring more resources and do this again. So the application timeline, that's, today, hello, you're here, thank you. I did post the application up on the website last night, so you can take a peek at that. Those are due on the 15th. And then we're trying to make this a quick turnaround. So by July 1st, we'll kind of have grants awarded and everybody will be notified. August 20th and 21st, it's a Sunday and Monday. That'll be Ken Love's Orchard Management Workshop. And we haven't determined locations for this, so you want to definitely be open. We might actually one day kind of classroom, one day field on one of our grantees' orchards. So you can actually get some one-on-one advice and technical assistance and hands-on stuff on your own property if you're interested in that. We could also host it at 2 different farms or a few different farms. So we're really open to making sure that experience is a really good one for everybody. And once we have determined our grantees, we're also going to ask you some follow-up questions about which topics you're most interested in, so we can really tailor that workshop to be the most impactful for the people who are participating in it. And then, so we want all of the orchard projects to be wrapped up by the end of the year. It's a great time to put fruit trees in the ground, because we have a lot of that natural rainwater come in the winter season. So we're hoping to have that all wrap up by the end of the year. And there's not a big final report or any kind of, fancy paperwork that we're going to have you do. We're really just going to make sure that we have all your receipts in to close out your financial part of the report. And we're going to do a final site visit and document the different projects that you folks have completed. So scoring criteria, this is basically the buckets of how we rank our grant applications and score them. And this was written into our grant application with the program that we received the funding from. So this is kind of like a pass on of some of their interest, their needs as well. So 35% is on farmer need and diversity. So it has to do with demographics, equitable distribution, also how reliant you are on farm revenue. There's a commitment to providing food for sale to food access programs is a big one, because we're not here to, fund you to grow a bunch of fruit for a fancy hotel for visitors, right? We're really looking to make sure that we're reaching our local folks with food access challenges through this program. And the 25% is likelihood for success. So, if you failed or messed up on a former grant with us, or you just started farming, there's some challenges there. If you want to plant all strawberry guava trees, likelihood for success is kind of determining, did you think out a project that makes sense and that is executable for you and your level of experience. So that's really kind of just a quick summary. I just wanted to say one last time, we do encourage anyone interested to apply. You never know who's actually going to get an application in on time. We want to show that there's a demand for these programs. And also for any farmers that do get in and they only take one seat at the workshop, those extra seats will be open to the applicants that didn't get awarded grants. And so that will be an opportunity for folks to still try and filter. And there will be 50 seats total in this workshop. So it's a pretty big group. We've done these with Ken before. And he does just such an exceptional job. And we're really excited to make sure that all of those seats are filled with everybody. So I guess I'll just stop here. This is my contact information. If you have any questions, feel free to email me is usually the best way to get a hold of me. And I also want to make sure if you have a question, we can put it as an FAQ on our webpage so other people can also get that question answered as well. So I'm gonna stop sharing. I'm curious if anybody has any questions. We have a Q&A here. I haven't seen any questions come up yet. So yeah, does anyone have anything? Are there preferred crops? That's a good question. To be honest with you, all fruit is in demand right now. There are things that I can say that we have too much of. And sometimes it also depends on the season. So, you know, maybe in the middle of like bulk seasons of certain products, for example, like mangoes in July or something, there might be quite a bit of those, but maybe you have an early season crop or you have a late season crop. Sometimes specific varieties that extend a common season are really popular. You know, citrus season, we have a lot of citrus available, but outside of the bulk of that citrus season, if you have early varieties, late varieties, those could do really well in filling market gaps too. So I think the better answer is like, I don't think there are any crops that there are too much of, maybe Thai bananas, but they're technically not a tree also. So hopefully that answers your question. Another question, is ulu considered a fruit for grant purposes? Yes, it is. Any food tree. So it doesn't even have to be just fruit. It could be, maybe you want to do a different kind of nut or something that is not currently available. We're definitely open to considering what makes sense for you guys. Will there be access to this presentation so we can listen again? I hope so. I think we tried to record it. I think it looks like it still is recording. So we're gonna keep that recording and have a link available to you guys. And we're also gonna send out the slides, which kind of repeats a lot of the same information that was on our website too. So hopefully all that stuff answers your question. All right, I have one question pertaining to the lease part. Generally, I have a 5-year lease at minimum, but I'm in transition at the moment. So is it okay to apply? It's okay to apply, but if you do not have a signed written lease with at least 5 years on it, it's very unlikely that we will be able to fund you. I know that's unfortunate. I know land access is one of the #1 challenges on our island, and we're hopefully going to be doing some work on that area as well, but that is really required. If you have a year-to-year lease, or even if you have a 10-year lease, but it really has a year-to-year, they can kick you out clause in it, that's really not a solidified lease. So that's what is being looked for as a part of that. So sorry, I know that's probably not the best answer, but it's real. Okay, another question. If you're not involved with any other programs yet, but would like to for these exact purposes, could I still apply? Yes, you can still apply. You probably won't receive as many points as somebody who is participating in those programs, but you might get more points on other areas. So I think everybody should definitely apply, do the best they can, and giving as much information as you can about your project. And you know, hopefully we can fit as many of you in as possible, and hopefully get another round to do it again. Is Ken Love supplying trees to buy? Or are we buying wherever of our choice on island? So it is your choice where you want to buy. I did get some information from Seascapes, from Kauaʻi Nursery and Landscaping, and also Plant It Hawaii. And so I do have some information on available varieties, volumes, things like that for people who are technically in Hawaii and on island. So you don't have to buy from Ken Love at all. I don't even think his nursery is very large right now. So you can buy wherever you need to. We can also work out with you if you're not able to purchase up front. We can give you a percentage of the grant up front, so you don't have to go as much out of pocket and wait to get reimbursed. So we're definitely willing to work with people on a one-to-one basis once they're awarded, to make sure the grant works for you. And then, in terms of tree types, again, I just wanted to highlight, we do want you to purchase mature fruit trees. We don't want really small, bare-rooted baby trees that you're going to be importing from the mainland. We also want everyone to be extremely careful with how your trees are brought in from other islands because of little fire ant and other invasive species. Make sure that you're going through the proper protocols, and that doing some even potential treatments on your trees if they do arrive from another place, because a lot of our nurseries are already doing those for you when you get the trees here. So just be very, very careful that you're not introducing things we don't want here. All right, I thought Plant It Hawaii did not sell retail anymore. Is there an avenue through MK to purchase from them? Yes, there is. We can, if folks are ready, know what they want, and are all organized around the same time, we can actually make the purchases on your behalf, and then you don't have to go out of pocket at all. And we can work with Plant It Hawaii to bring in a bulk order of trees. So we do have that kind of wholesale license and all that business. So we're definitely welcome to do that with folks. Any more questions? All right, I don't see any more questions, so I'm gonna probably let you guys go. You have my information. It's Megan, MEGAN @MālamaKauaʻi.org. Feel free to email me any other questions you might have. And don't forget, June 15th is when applications are due. That's less than 2 weeks from today. It's super short, super easy. It's meant to be. There's like 3 questions, no more than 250 words or characters or something. We meant to keep it very, very basic and a quick process. We realize it's not a huge amount of money. We're not going to make you do a ton of paperwork for it. So please feel free to reach out, and thank you so much for spending a little bit of time on your Friday afternoon to talk about the grant, and we look forward to working with you.